Thank you everybody for joining this session on leadership run and hosted by District 91. For those of you that don't know who I am the immediate past District Director of District 91, which is the south of the UK. I'm also the District Leadership Committee Chair for this year, which is one of the reasons that I decided to run this session and a few others that we've got planned for the next few weeks. And I'm sure we will touch on it briefly at some point during the session, but I have been affectionately nicknamed the Godmother. We have my predecessor, the Fairy Godmother, also on the call, and we've had a brief discussion as to what all of that means in the bit that happens before we actually hit record. There's also been another interesting discussion that happened before we hit record, and I'm sure I'll bring that back to the fore. I'm joined today by three of my colleagues from across the globe who are also immediate past district directors in their respective territories. I will introduce them shortly in about a second. But the reason that we've decided to run these sessions is there's a lot that happens beyond the club. And 7 months after serving as district director, all four of us, we've had a chance to reflect. We've all had a different leadership journey or a different route to becoming district director. And whilst the job description is the same for a lot of these roles, we've all had very different experiences. So I'm going to give them all the opportunity to introduce themselves more fully. Very briefly, we have from District 95, Stefan Zahov, or Distinguished Toastmaster Stefan Zahov.
Hello.
From District 114, although she may have defected, Distinguished Toastmaster Emilia Siwingwa. And from District 119, Distinguished Toastmaster Lisa Koo. So, in no particular order, but in the spirit of controlling this panel discussion, I'm going to go to Stefan first, or maybe in number order. So, Stefan, you introduce yourself in terms of geography, where you're physically based, the geographic region of your district, and maybe a little bit about your Toastmasters leadership journey.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Rupa. Good evening and good day, everyone. So good to have you here. As you heard, my name is Stefan. I'm Toastmaster since 6 years. 6 years ago, I was just sad because of a breakup of a relationship. And I saw some really cool YouTube videos of strong speakers. And I really liked how they own and rock the stage. So I asked a business partner of mine what to do to become like these people. And he said, it's really simple. Go to Toastmasters. It's in almost every bigger city. And in Dortmund, Germany, where you live, there is one strong club. Just go and visit them. And this is what I did. I was happy to become club board very fast. They invited me. And then I started the leadership journey as a district leader. Today, I'm an immediate past district director, and our District 95 is Scandinavia in Germany. So if you're around, just give me a call. I will be happy to show you around. Back to you, Rupa.
Thank you so much, Stefan. And a bit of background in terms of mine and Stefan's relationship. We met when we were serving as club growth directors together. So we first met online. He has since visited me in London and also visited the District 91 conference. We're talking about some more travel arrangements. But throwing over now to Emilia in District 114. Same sort of story. Where are you physically based? Because you said you've moved. What is the territory of 114, and a little bit about your Toastmasters journey, please.
Thank you, Rupa. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be on this panel discussing our leadership journeys here at Toastmasters. As Rupa has said, I have moved, but I'm a Tanzanian human rights lawyer, currently based in West Africa in a small country called the Gambia. And I am heading an organization that does work across Africa called the Institute for Human Rights and Development in Africa. This is my 5th year as a Toastmaster. It has been an incredible journey, and I'm the immediate past district director in East Africa. and that is District 114. So I look forward to sharing some of the stories on this panel. Back to you, Rupa.
Thank you so much, Emilia. And a bit of a backstory there. I think the first time I remember meeting Emilia was last year in person at district leader training in Nashville, and she happened to put herself on the same table as me, and some of you will know him as the Gentle Giant. She thought that we were such good friends and we were having a good banter about parliamentary procedures, and since then she hasn't been able to get rid of us, right? Last but certainly not least, the lady that put together the poster for this event, distinguished Toastmaster Lisa Q from District 119.
Thank you, Rupa. Happy New Year, everyone. My name is Lisa Q. I'm the immediate past district director of District 119. So from the number that you can see, we are a very, very young district. This is only we're 3 years old. And where we are, we're in New York City, and New York City and Manhattan split up into 2 districts, and we are the new baby, and 34th Street and Lower Manhattan, in Queens, Brooklyn, and Long Island. That is our district. I became Toastmasters about 13 years ago, almost 14 years, because my then teenager daughter said, "Mom, your English sucks." And I said, "Hey, look, you don't speak Chinese, so you shut up." But as a mother, I don't know how many parents are here. We all know we want to be that role model for our children. There was no way for me not to do anything. That is when I joined Toastmasters. Still 13 and 14 years down, and I won't regret it. And I will share more about it in the panel discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Now, I think the first time I remember meeting Lisa was actually not in Club Growth Director Year, but probably Program Quality Director Year. And it may have even been either district leader training or mid-year training, because they mixed up the regions that year when we were still online doing that training. And then in person, I remember meeting her in Nashville, and there is a silly photo of Lisa, myself, and one other person that may resurface on Facebook in the next week or so as appropriate. But this year, she chased me around, was more interested in having a photo with my backpack rather than me. But, you know, there we go. But I think what I'd like to, of course, highlight as a result of just these introductions is the global nature of our organisation. And whilst the pandemic gave us an opportunity to meet more people because of that, I think stepping into district leadership, going to convention, and of course serving on the trio gives you the opportunity to build more bonds. And one of the things I think I want to pick up on based on the introductions is the length of service, and maybe demystifying the fact that you have to have been a Toastmaster and have become a DTM and have done 10,000 other things before you step into district leadership. I will be celebrating my 8th anniversary as a Toastmaster in 25 days' time. But I do remember a lot of people thinking, certainly some of the older or longer standing Toastmasters thought, oh, she's actually gone down that district leadership route quite quickly. But then hearing that Lisa's the longest longest held membership of Toastmasters out of the 4 of us. I'm going to go to Stefan first on this one again. Do you feel that there was something that got you into district leadership quicker than maybe most people, or is that normal in District 95?
Oh, wow, good question. For me, it was very important. First, I was very lucky because I entered the organization with a very high intrinsic motivation. I was there just to jump on the stage, to practice. I was experienced to speak on the stage at the university during my PhD, but talking just in front of a regular or normal audience, which are not students, was a really cool challenge for me. And then the club very fast saw something in me and suggested me to become VPE. which for me, it sounded cool. So I first said yes, and then I checked what the position is. It was interesting. And the same way the area director saw me and said, hey, it will be really cool if you become area director next year. I'm happy to support you. I saw your work, you organize this and that. So I had high intrinsic motivation, and other leaders saw something in me and offered me the opportunity. And it was easy job for me just to say yes or no. And I decided for yes for 6 years. So yeah, that was the secret in my case.
Amazing, thank you. And just to mix this up, I'm going to go to Lisa next.
All right, I'm ready. Okay, so about my journey, I've never been thinking about anything close to be even the club officers. Look, I joined Toastmaster. I want to improve my English. I come here for me. I never thought about it. But the good thing is that I kept saying yes, because I'm friendly. I don't want to hurt people's feelings. 2 months after joining the Toastmasters, my then club president took me out for a beer. I like it. I was like, Toastmasters are fun. After the meeting, we can have a beer. But he told me, sit me down, say, do you like our club? I said, yes, I do. Okay, without officers, the club, there will be no club. And the club is going to shut down if you don't step up to be the officer. I said, no, I just joined 2 months. What should I do? Then step up to be the VP of Education. I had no idea. I was only 2 months old in Toastmaster journey, but I was so glad to say yes, because by then, we actually, with the president, both of us, a 2-month-old Toastmasters, we built that club from 35 within, by the end of the year, 95 members, until there are 3-month waiting list to speak at that club. Then we said, no, we were not going to split the district access to split the club. We said, we're not going, this is what we want. This is what we built. And we don't have enough speaking spot, no problem. We sent it out, all of our speakers, to the neighboring clubs, because we belong to American Express Toastmasters. We send them to all the financial industry. Merrill Lynch doesn't have people step up to speak. We send speakers. And the Bank of New York, we send our speakers. I said, go make your friends, make friends. Who knows, one day if you have some career help and support, you need friends who work in this industry. So long journey, that is where it starts. And by saying yes.
Saying yes. Okay, I'm sure I can come back to that one a little bit later. Now, Emilia knows that I wanted to tell her story because she definitely has had a bit of a unique journey into district leadership. Emilia, you.
Well, Rupa, I know what you want to discuss, but I want to share a little bit about how I joined Toastmasters. And I want to say to everybody, I was a lukewarm Toastmasters for the first 6 months of my journey. I remained on level 1 that entire time. I had done my icebreaker pretty early on, but was not regular at my meetings. And when I sat way at the back of the room, tried to avoid the table topics questions, and wasn't very active. And it wasn't until work took me to another country in my district. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm from Tanzania. I'd gone to Ethiopia for work. And someone in my club had told me to repeat a speech, and I was horrified. Repeat a speech? I'm going to go and deliver that speech in Addis Ababa. And so there I went, and in a brand new environment, just met warm people in such a familiar space and delivered the speech again. And I thought, there's a lot more to Toastmasters than clearly what I've been putting into it and what I think I had been getting out of it, because I'd been putting so little into it. And that's when I really started to invest in my journey. I started visiting more clubs. And then the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, I now started traveling virtually to all of these different club meetings. And it was the community and how we embrace each other. That's really what brought me in. So 9 months into my journey, when my club president said, our VPE is leaving, and we'd like for you to step up as vice president for education, just for a short time. It was almost the end of the Toastmasters year at that point. I said, oh, all right, what do I have to lose? And by doing that, really introduced just the leadership aspect of Toastmasters. So there was the community aspect, which has been and remains near and dear to me, but then the leadership aspect, the taking of responsibility, the service, the humility that comes with everybody you engage with. And that just led into leadership in a second club, membership and leadership in a second club, and then things took off from there. Let me stop there for now, unless you have more specific questions about my foray into district leadership.
If I forget to ask it, and I doubt I will, someone remind me when we get to the Q&A. But I think Andrew knows what I'm talking about. Helena probably knows what I'm talking about. Okay, so if we reflect on our journeys then, and I've got a sort of two-pronged question coming up. Reflecting on our journeys now that we're, in most cases, semi-retired, 7 months later, I know when I woke up on the 1st of July 2023, I actually felt the stress leave my body, right? And there's this whole burden that just comes off you. Andrew, you're laughing, man, but you know that's true, right? You were there too. And I think it is important for us to share the fact that these are not necessarily easy roles, but there are reasons that we do it, the reasons why we stay, the reasons that we're here talking about it today. So 7 months later, reflecting on certainly your role as district director, but the second part of the question is, out of all of the district leadership roles you've done, do you have a favourite and why? And Lisa looks ready. Lisa looks ready. Go.
Okay. Well, it might be a surprise or maybe not. It's area director. Area director, I did it twice. The first time, again, my district director noticed that I built that club. Well, we built that club to such a huge number. So I think by then it's the biggest membership in the district, asked me to step up to be the area director. But the second year, I volunteered myself to be area director again. It is that kind of connections with the club and to see the club leadership roles. And don't make me wrong, it's not only about the club performance, actually it's about the people. It's about the 7 club officers. They had certain conflict, they have a disagreement, and I was truly grateful. They felt safe to come to me to say, what do you think we should do? I think that moment is really make me feel like so accomplished. And out of all I think that is the one thing that make me feel so accomplished, to help a club to stick together, to aim at their goal and to achieve it. Thank you.
Okay, and before, unless you want some more time before I throw it to the other two, how are you feeling 7 months later, having retired from district director?
Well, I don't feel like, maybe it's strange, I don't feel like retired. I am fully in the team of our current trio. The thing is that I said that our district is 3 years old, but we get distinguished. Last year, of course, we cannot compete with the Andrews districts that madly distinguished. We didn't do that. But however, we are distinguished. But my mission this year is that I don't want to say it's because of Lisa Q, this district distinguished. Well, we just simply because District 119 is a stronger district. So for that mission, I'm still supporting the current trio and the whole district leadership team. Wherever they need me to jump in, I will jump in. If they don't really need me, and sometimes I give them a call, just say, hey, just so you know, last year, we are not here yet. You're doing better. You're on the track. But I think I want you to focus on the membership growth, how I can do to support you to the membership growth. How about I do this project that I can charter a committee to do and gear up to the March membership renew. I have ideas. How about this and that? Once the district director approved, I will charter a committee to do that. But I think that is a kind of thing, like continuous support and not making them wrong, just saying, hey, I did this. Wait, you guys, what are you doing? But point it out, you are on the right track. That's just, I feel like it's so still busy, but I'm happy and I'm helping them to keep this District 119 being stronger and stronger.
Excellent. I think you should be given the title of Godmother for District 119 for sure. Stefan, let's go to you.
I really enjoyed all roles as they are so different. However, my personal favorite is the Program Quality Director. And the reason is at this role, I had huge possibilities to organize, to empower, to concept trainings and stuff like that. But I had like only 99% of the responsibility. There was always the idea, if something goes terribly wrong, the district director will be there to support. And that never happened. Everything was good. But I just had this inner security that I can do anything. And if everything goes wrong, there still will be support from me.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. And how do you feel 7 months later?
I feel really good because I learned a lot of stuff at Toastmasters, and now I'm extremely curious to experiment with this knowledge and skills in real life outside, at work, at the family, and at any other situation. And it's really very, very thrilling to bring both worlds together.
Awesome. I think that's going to be my final question before I throw to the floor in about 5 minutes. Emilia, how about you? Favorite role and how are you feeling 7 months later?
Well, I had a very non-linear route to district director. And at district level, I've only served as a division director and a district director. So I only have two options. Unlike many people who've served at district leadership level and have attained the district director role, many of you have been able to serve as a club growth director, a program quality director. Before district director, you were building up to it, so to speak. So I would say just because of that, I felt that serving as division director, I was more prepared. I came with a clearer agenda. I had the opportunity to build up a team and work with them towards a goal. Not only that, I wasn't a division director in an area where I lived. I wound up being a division director serving primarily the clubs in Ethiopia and a few in Kenya. And I'm from Tanzania and I was based in Tanzania at the time. So that was a wonderful experience, getting to know new people, getting to innovate with different people about how to create and build success in a new area. And so that for me was extremely enjoyable. And we were in the year of COVID and still managed to put together, I think, a very interesting program for our division conference. And it was very well attended. We had, I think, over 300 people dialing into that particular conference from all around the world, and amazing speakers from both within the district and without. So that was an interesting year of just really being able to lead a team enjoyably with little stress and just innovate around different solutions that would be able to just push the needle a little bit more. It wasn't my intention to go on into the trio. And I was actually approached by a past district director to consider the role. And initially I said no. not interested in it. I have a very busy profession and had a position of responsibility and wasn't quite sure I'd be able to juggle everything. But eventually they wore me down and I decided to run and was elected. And I did not run uncontested. So, and so I think a little bit of that meant that when I pivoted into the role, the buy-in was something I had to work on right from the get-go. The earning of trust, the building of relationships. Again, at that time, I was just leaving my 3rd year of leadership, about to start my 4th year. But I think there was an appreciation that I was committed, that I served with integrity. I'm a leader who's very transparent and loves accountability. So there were aspects of that in our very young district. Our district isn't as young as Lisa's, but we are less than 10 years old. And it was a change we'd never seen before. Up until then, it was known that these were going to be the people who were going to lead. And so there was a lot of that I had to work on and really work on relationship building. And given how busy I am, that's not easy. And so I think I've always felt that pressure of helping the district stay on course, but at the same time, build relationships, because it is about people when you're in leadership. But as people like Andrew might know, who when we're leading within different countries in the huge landmass that is Africa, it can be difficult if you don't have the wherewithal, the resources to be able to get on the ground in each country and to be able to do that on a regular basis. So kudos to the team, from the district leadership team all the way to the clubs. We really worked together to be able to achieve the president's distinguished status that we did. At this time last year, I think everybody thought this was never gonna happen. By May of last year, everyone thought this is never gonna happen, and it really came out of left field, but I'm really proud of District 114 and what we achieved last year.
And I'm really proud of you. We're all really proud of you as well, Emilia. This is not all about me asking questions, so I'm going to throw to the floor after this last question, but as Stefan and Emilia sort of touched on it, we're going to talk about transferable skills. Now, I think it's ironic that I met Emilia for the first time in a Robert's Rules and Parliamentary Procedures session, and I genuinely think Emilia is a fantastic example of someone that was able to bring in her professional skills and therefore be a really effective district director, having not served on the other 2 roles in the trio. So Emilia, if we start with you, would you like to say something on that? Do you agree with me, or maybe take it at a different angle in terms of bringing transferable skills from outside of the organisation in, or the other way around?
Oh, it's a great question, Rupa. But I do believe that the starting point is humility. Humility in knowing that it's not about you. Humility in knowing that others are going to have an input. Others are going to have an opinion that differs from yours. And then from that point of humility, the integrity that is a core value for Toastmasters then kicks in. But it has to start with humility in order to get to that point of integrity. And I know, and I see a few people who have dialed in from District 114 here, welcome guys. But I know that not everyone in our district agreed with the decisions that we had to make as a leadership team. And that's part of it. And I don't think that is necessarily something you can teach someone. And so I think a big part of serving in district leadership is that you get to flex that muscle. You get to learn how to do it more effectively, how to do it more professionally sometimes, and how to do it with humility so that even if others are opposed to the decision you're making, you have enough buy-in so that you can move forward. And I think for me, that's one of the biggest skills I've learned. In addition to those soft skills and how we engage people in different situations, but really making tough decisions when you're working in a limited time. People think 12 months is a long time. It really isn't. And working with limited resources, it was a huge lesson for me. But as I mentioned earlier, I'm a lawyer and I've been doing it now for several years. And I think what I was able to bring into the role was the fact that I am a reader. I'm a leader who likes to read. And so one of the things that I did pretty early on was familiarize myself with the Toastmasters policies and knew relatively quickly what we needed to do, what we didn't need to do, and as a young district, perhaps how we could do things, certain things differently. Again, that can cause division. So I don't think I've been the most popular leader in District 114, but I do know that as a district leader, I ensured that we were doing things as per the policy. And as a result of that, I think a lot of people learned, and a lot of people wanted to read the policies to make sure that I wasn't making it up. And so that's what I brought into it, just that ability to understand the policies, the ability to then implement the policies. But what I get out of it as well is there's something that I think I've never gotten in any place of employment. And that is simply the ability to troubleshoot ideas. I don't think I've ever had as much of a challenge. I think when you're employed somewhere and you're working, you're leading a team, there's a lot more control that happens, and you don't have as much control at Toastmasters. And being able to let go and say there's a team and we're working as a team, we're going to delegate within the team and we're going to move together is something that I don't think you have the luxury of doing in a workplace. You're accountable. If it doesn't happen, it's fully on you. But being district director, I think just learning that teamwork aspect and what it really means in the fullest sense, and it's something that I've now transferred to my new job here in the Gambia. Let me stop there.
Nice one. Okay. Well, I know that there's one person in this call, maybe a few more than one, like the immediate past district finance manager from District 91, that loves the fact that you said accountable quite a lot. For those of us that know about Racy. Started to see a question come through directly to me in the chat, so folks, get your questions ready, and I'll invite them in a second. So just to finish on this question, I'm going to throw it in the other direction to Stefan, as he touched on taking some of the transferable skills outside of Toastmasters. So would you like to comment on that a little bit more, Stefan?
Yeah, absolutely. I have two very short stories for you. The first one was in Nashville, where we had the conference. And it was really cool because the regional advisor, Tan, Lucas, and I, and many of other leaders arrived around about 1 week earlier. And the idea was to party together, to meet together, and we had a really good spirit in our peer group. And the idea was to bring the spirit to all groups. However, the first 1 or 2 days, we really had difficulties because we tried to set appointment 9:00 p.m. at the bar, this and that, and then let's party. And a very low number of people showed up because we arrived later, we don't like jazz, it's too late, it's too early, it's too, I don't know. And it was a little bit frustrating as our plan was in danger. But 2 days later, we just changed the strategy. We went to the bar and just sent a selfie. We're having fun here. If you like, come around. And then 5 people joined. Then we make another selfie. Now we change to the restaurant, blah, blah. If you like, join us. And it worked absolutely brilliant. So I tried the same in my family. Unfortunately, 2.5 years ago, my mom and my grandma passed away. And it was challenging to organize Christmas because they were our natural hosts. And now there was no procedure how to do it. And I asked all family members, what do you like? And they gave me about 10 people gave me 11 answers. I want to cook with all you guys. I don't want to celebrate. I want to go to the restaurant. I don't want to eat. I just want drinks. And I was like, Jesus, what to do? And then I decided just to set up a table, the nice light, and some plates, and make picture. And just tell them, if you like, tomorrow at this time we can celebrate here. And then I sent picture of our kitchen. If you, some of you who like can join us earlier and cook together, and stuff like that. And it was amazing, as a success. They all came, And now, 2 years later, I just need to ask, do you want to visit us at 9 o'clock at Christmas? And they're just happy and show up with food, and everything works perfect. So that was a transfer from Toastmasters to the family.
I love it. And it has to do with the party. There you go. Okay, so I've had a couple of questions come through to the chat, and I'm basically going to ask the question, and if a particular panelist would like to answer it, please go for it. If not, I'll pick somebody. The first one is, how can we encourage new faces in leadership? Who wants to take that one? Lisa?
All right, I will take that one on. How to encourage that? I think for being a leader, it is all about people. And I think you don't have to find the person who has the right skills for that role, but the people willing to do it. But for me, I think when we recruited area directors that year, and it was tough because nobody wanted to do anything if you don't let them to see the future. So always we will see, for example, we have an area director and she is a new, very young professionals in the finance industry. And she got her CPA, she got a CFA. And when I look at her LinkedIn profile, even though I didn't know her that well, but I could just say, we have a the financial industry corporate clubs here. You know their business better, and you know what those members and clubs want. And we wanted you to be the area director for the area in the financial industry. And to be able to let her to see what she can grow as a leader. And then at the same time, she wanted also to make friends in the financial industry. So with that said, she was also has another concern. She was competing in the speech contest. Being area directors, you can no longer compete for that year. But at the same time, and I told her that you have a bigger platform to get your message out. If you compete, you can compete to whatever the level, area level, you stop there, the only area people to know you. But now you have a bigger platforms to speak. And that is the same year we try to get all the speakers for the district events, and we are hiring our area directors, division directors, so they have a bigger platform, also practicing to be a better speaker. I think the key to have anybody step up, you need to let them to know, let them see what they can grow into. And I think that's the key.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Okay, next question from one of our area directors, Olga. During your time in leadership, did you have periods of low motivation? And if so, how did you manage that? Stefan, Emilia, do you want to take one of you want to take that? Stefan?
Yeah, sure, of course. As I mentioned, my mom passed away around about 2.5 years ago, and that was the time I was program quality director. And at the beginning of the term, she became ill. And of course, I was like, what to do? I asked her about her opinion, and she told me, you need to continue in this organization. You look great and happy there. Just do your job. And I didn't know what to expect from the organization, because of course, as program quality directors, there are also high expectations and stuff like that. But I just tried. I talked to the trio, what's the thing in a family, and they gave me some backup. However, I continued to show up to meetings regularly, and it was so cool to see how most of the people don't know I'm struggling, and they just behave normal. And they give me this feeling of everything is perfect. Our Toastmasters world is still fine. You can show up as much as you like. And I really received great support. A few weeks later, she passed away, and I received some amazing messages. I remember 3 of them. The first one was from the district director. That was Elizabeth. Okay, I need to correct. I was club row director, but it doesn't matter. The first message was from Elizabeth, our district director, which was like, as I lost my mom, it was huge pain. I know you are a tough guy. If you need something, call me. It was like love on paper. It was amazing. I also received a postcard from Pat Johnson from Canada, like the world is with you and everything good. And I also received a message from Francesco. He was our regional advisor, and he wrote, you need to know there are many friends in this world, and I'm one of them in Italy. If you need something, just let me know. And that was the moment where I thought, oh, Jesus, I cannot imagine better way to go through crisis than as part of this organization. So yeah, it was really cool.
Thank you for sharing that, Stefan. And I do remember when you told me as well. I think that was a few months later. So when we look at leadership roles, given that most of them are 12 months in this organization, a lot of life changes can happen for each and every one of us. And sometimes we don't necessarily share that. And on my district leadership team last year, we did have 2 bereavements. And for the most part, the rest of the district doesn't know, right? It's just whether or not you can support the team and you get on with it. Questions are coming through thick and fast. Here we go. The next one's about conflict from our PR manager. Understand that conflict is normal in district leadership teams. What has your time taught you about conflict resolution? What skills have you gained? Who wants that one? Emilia, she's ready. Go.
And I think that's a great question. I think it's rare to avoid conflict in any situation. And given that we serve for such a limited amount of time, the best way is to deal with it. Don't avoid it, don't ignore it, don't sweep it under the table. You have to put it on the table so that everyone is aware that there is a situation that needs to be solved. And it's not really a solution, it's a resolution reached by consensus where possible. And it's important that the district director takes leadership. And even where the situation involves a district director, to be able to recognize that there is a situation that involves you and to immediately ensure that there is going to be a fair process to deal with it. So deal with it head on, don't ignore it, and make sure that if you are the person, if you are the district director, if you have been tasked with handling a committee that needs to address the conflict, please serve with integrity. If at any point you are no longer able or capable to deal with the matter fairly, remove yourself from the position, do it transparently. There's no need to create new conflict from a situation that you're trying to resolve. So that's been my experience. So expect it, deal with it, and do it with integrity.
Awesome. Had a couple of follow-on questions from those, so I will come back to them if we've got time. This one's an interesting one, and probably need 2 separate responses. Would you encourage Toastmasters who want to be district directors to serve as the CGD and PQD first? Is there an advantage of having served basically on the other roles on the trio? And I might actually be mean and put Andrew on the spot in a second, but would anyone else like to take that before I go to Andrew? Stefan, Lisa, what do you want to take?
Oh, Andrew, I would like to hear from him.
You thought he was going to get away with it. Come on, mister.
All right. Really on the spot. Anyway, good evening, everybody, or good day to everybody. So I really wanted Emilia to take that on, and I hope she will give her perspective on it because of her experience. And I love the idea that I always say Toastmasters does not call the qualified, it qualifies the cold. So too often when we tackle those leadership roles, we want to go there with you need to have been a particular person in order to be a district director and so forth, which I don't believe should be the case. It is helpful to have gone through that journey, but it doesn't necessarily make you a better district director because you have been. And I think just the exposure and understanding, and which are behavioral elements or human elements, just understanding what somebody is going through. Remember, it's not about the title, but the experience that person is bringing. and your understanding of people dynamics is what I believe is somewhat of, if at all, a prerequisite to you being district director, just understanding people dynamics. I didn't do club growth director. I did public relations manager, PQD, program quality director, then district director. And as much as I did not do the club growth director role, I actually have a very good understanding, I believe, of the club growth director role, or at least the KPIs of a club growth director. But it wasn't about the KPIs I understood. It was about how I supported the two club growth directors I had in actually tackling the responsibilities and the role, which again was down to the people dynamics. So I don't think it's a prerequisite for you to take on PQD, CGD before DD, but I think it's an understanding of the people dynamics, and it can be helpful if you have been. Thank you for that table topic. I look forward to my evaluation.
You knew you weren't going to get away with it. Okay, Emilia, you kind of know you have to answer the question, and then I'll let one of the others come at it from a different angle. Maybe Stefan, I don't know. Emilia, over to you.
I really feel Andrew said it all. The truth of the matter is that the policies allow it. The policies allow a nonlinear route, and therefore it has already been envisaged that that is a possibility. Now, whether that is the best way to go at all times is something that only time will be able to tell. But in my personal experience, Andrew is spot on. It is whether you understand the different functions in the first place. Because if you go into the role perpetually talking about, well, I'm learning everything from scratch. This is about a learning experience after all. And we have to be perpetual learners, but we cannot lie to ourselves and not ensure that we know the functions before we go into it. So I think that for me, that was a huge thing. It's part of the readership aspect of leadership that I spoke about earlier. But in addition to that, you have to be a present leader. So you might know the functions, but if you're not present, then that also becomes a problem, because you are the one who's supposed to create the cohesion within the team. You are the one, if needs be, to be the person handling conflict. You are the person providing the vision and the direction. So you have to be present. And I think that if you go into it thinking that the responsibilities are akin to the role of a club president, then you've already lost your way right from the beginning. So I think that element of having had served as a district leader is important, and it's envisaged in the policies. You can't be a district director if you haven't at least led a division. And so I think that that experience, therefore, prepared me for what district leadership would be about. But absolutely, I think that, you know, as Andrew so eloquently put it, you don't have to go in being perfect, but it is something you have to be prepared to do, to be present for, and just to ensure that you understand what's going on. So if you're not prepared to do the learning, either beforehand or while you're there, I don't think it's for you. If you're not prepared to be there and be present, then it's not for you. But if you're willing to put in the time, then I would say absolutely go for it.
Awesome. Awesome. We've had an interesting angle come back in based on this discussion. And this is, again, in the governing documents. And it's something I think people get caught out on every single year. This is where I put my district leadership committee chair hat on. And you can't apply or be nominated for a trio role if you haven't served as club president. So would one of the panel like to take their perspective? So this is in our governing documents. It's not something that we've made up. Your perspective on why that is the case. Lisa?
First of all, my attitude towards that, I think is necessary. Here is why. We also talk about you don't have to be the club growth director to do the district director's job. If you look at the structure of 7 officers' roles at the club level, there's a treasurer, it's actually, if you have a business, that is the business. You need to have a treasurer, have finance manager. You need to have someone to take care of the products, which is VP of education, memberships and PRs. any big organization, smaller organization, it is the same 7 role you need to have. And so if you can be the club, you serve as a club president, you pretty much understand what these 7 roles are for and how you distribute it in different tasks to different officers. With that said, I do think club president role, it is important. But serving the other area director or club roles director, that is, I'm not saying it's not important, but I do agree that club officer is important, president is important.
Awesome, thank you, Lisa. And yeah, I would agree. I think there's been a few cases, certainly in District 91, where people effectively become area directors because they can have this exposure, and it's great that they've had that taste of district leadership and think that automatically the next role is division director or trio. But no, when they go back to try and be president, they realise why. Yeah, and it's not easy necessarily. Okay, so I know that we've got loads of questions coming through in the chat. Realistically, we've got time for one more. And there was one I saw from Eddie in terms of diversity and inclusion. I feel that given that we're a global organisation, probably ought to address that. And then as I go to wrap up, if anyone is happy, including the panelists, to stay beyond and have a more informal discussion about some of the other questions coming through, please do so. Okay, yeah, Toastmasters often have diverse backgrounds and perspectives, as I hope is demonstrated through this panel alone. How did you ensure inclusivity and manage diversity within your leadership team? Stefan, do you want to take that first?
Yeah, sure. I don't have an exact list on my mind what to do, but I feel like there is one quality which is extremely important, and this is to not judge. I mean, when we, for example, give evaluation on a speech, we don't judge typically, hopefully, but we just try to show the best possible perspective and then to invite to the perspective of even better speaker. And I think in terms of leadership, it's exactly the same. We take the people as they are and as they feel on particular day, and then help them do the best out of it. And when we all do like this, then we create trust and safe environment where leadership can grow and thrive. And everything else are special cases where you need to be creative and just manage it somehow.
Awesome. Emilia, Lisa, would either of you want to add to that? Lisa?
I'll go for it. And living in New York City is a very diverse place to live. We have, within District 119, we have so many specialty clubs, which is, for example, we have a Pride Club with all gay, LGBTQ members. We have a club very unique, it's all autistic members. And thinking about the autistic members is so important. But here's the one thing: when we charter that club, they put all the documents together, they send it to the Toastmaster headquarters. They refuse to charter that club. Here is the reason why. Because autistic people, they have their certain way to understand things. If you see the new club charter documents, it drives people crazy. With all 6 documents, everywhere you sign, everywhere. But so here is the thing: when we review that documents, there's nothing wrong, but it's not organized in a normal way. But in their own mind, everything makes sense. So for chartering that club, we have to stand by our members saying, how about we redo the documents for the war headquarters to understand it, so you charter that club. We have to go to convince war headquarters and new clubs. It is very important for our district to have this club to serve all the autistic members as well as the family members who have autistic children. And we need to have this diversity in our club, in our district. So with that said, it is sometimes really hard. You don't have to understand the other side, what they went through. Here is one of the core values of Toastmasters International, which is respect, and it's come into play. I went to our LGBTQ club. They asked me to give a keynote speech when they celebrate their anniversary. So I talked with one of the members there. I said, I don't know what is appropriate to talk at this club. He told me, he said, this club is very accepting. You can talk anything. You can talk about anything, but you have to be funny. I'm not a funny person. That's a humorous path. It is the last path I'm going to tackle on that. But here is the thing I said. I asked one of your members, what is the topics appropriate to talk? He told me you have to be funny, but I just cannot be funny. Then if I cannot be funny, let me be real. Then I shared the story of my ex-husband is ended up to be a gay, and what is that impact on me? And again, it shows like not make the whole club membership wrong, but at the same time educate them to see the other side of it. So I think that diversity is so important. We don't have to agree with each other. We don't have to really understand each other, but we have to respect who they are and have this diversity. And it's very important. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing that story. Now, I'm going to make an executive decision because we are supposed to be finishing in 2 minutes, but there's a question in the chat that seems to have a lot of emoticons against it, and the person that's asked it is somewhere where it's almost midnight, so I feel the need to ask it. How important is having a mentor or mentors on your district leadership journey? And if I can ask for a 30-second response from each of the panelists before we look to close out. Let's go Emilia first on this one.
The long and short of it is very important. Having recognized that I had not served as a club growth director and a program quality director, I reached out to the IPDD, who is responsible for part of Southern Florida, I think, and the Bahamas. And I worked with her throughout the entire year, and it was an amazing support system. But we have a regional grouping of district directors, and we spoke regularly. Andrew's part of that team, and West Africa, and part of the Middle East. And that was another important support structure. So yes, get a mentor.
Lisa.
I think a mentor is important. It's not only with Toastmasters, in life, whatever you want to achieve, and find those people who's been there, done that. It is very important. In the Toastmaster situation, all our trios last year was appointed with a mentor who's been there, who's done that tremendously. These ladies, 3 of them happen to be ladies, 3 of them guided us and us working toward to the final goal. Very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And Stefan, we had our Region 10 wine and ice cream nights. I know the buddy group and the peer group that Emilia referred to in Region 10 was really powerful. Yeah, how do you feel about the mentor situation?
Fellow Toastmasters, I empower you to have even a team of mentors. I mean, one of them can teach you leadership, one of them can teach you parliamentary procedures, one of them can help you manage crises, one of them can help you manage yourself. And I think you understand the principle. Identify areas where you think or expect to need support, and then find nice people to mentor you.
Okay, thank you so much. So first up, I have to give a round of applause, or invite a round of applause for all of the panelists that have taken their time to come and get involved in this session when I just decided, I feel like doing this. Who can I call on? Let's ask some of my friends. So Emilia, Stefan, Lisa, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and coming to share your experiences with us. Thank you, audience, for being a fabulous audience and asking some awesome questions.